Today, in Cómo Sucedió, the space exploration. The humankind has looked at stars for 1,000 years. These were the inspiration of many poets and writers, the GPS of travelers in antiquity, the tool of many civilizations to write their own calendar, etc. However, the exploration of space is very recent. In this video, I'm gonna tell you about the little door we have crossed toward infinite sky. 1945. The Second World War has finished. USA and the Soviet Union are the most powerful nations in the planet. Germany had the best knowledge about rocket program, so after war, USA and Soviet Union recruit the best scientists of this area and they began the space race, a competition to arrive to stars. 10 years after the end of the war, both countries announced that they will launch satellites into orbit. In every aspect, one nation once surpassed the other. It was the Cold War. 1957. Soviet Union launches the Sputnik 1, and this satellite is placed into orbit successfully. The Russians had the advantage, and 1 month later, the dot Kudryavka or Laika is the first terrestrial living being into orbit. In the next years, both countries launched more satellites into space, but again, the Soviets won to Americans. On 1961, Yuri Gagarin is the first human being in orbit. United States was always behind the Soviets. It was losing the race. The President Kennedy gave one speech to Congress and he promised America would put a man on moon surface in that decade. That was the birth of the Apollo program. This one, combined with Gemini program, allowed in 1969 the mission Apollo 11 travel to moon. The lunar module descended to satellite and Neil Armstrong became the first man to walk on the moon. The Soviets were the first again in put a space station in orbit. Now the cosmonauts had a place to research on space. It's important to mention that the Russians were the first to put satellites around Venus and Mars. Meanwhile, 12 American astronauts walked on moon surface. In 1972 was launched the last mission to satellite. Since 1975, USA and Union Soviet worked together. This was the end of the space race and the beginning of a new age of exploration. The Voyager 1 is a space probe launched by NASA on 1977. This year is going to turn 40 years traveling into space. Since 2012, the probe went out from solar system. It's our spacecraft further from home, followed by its sister, the Voyager 2. Or 1981 was launched the first space shuttle, the new ships to send astronauts and technology for research. Or 1990, the Hubble Space Telescope was put into orbit around Earth. This is maybe the most productive science instrument built to explore space, because it has taken 1.3 million of photographs. It's our window to universe. Now, we are in the new millennium. The scientists look to colonization of other planets. Barely, we are exploring Mars with robots. Our nearest neighbor and USA is planning to launch a AAA mission to 2030. This mission will be a big step, no doubt. However, like Carl Sagan said once, we are on one mode of dust suspended in a zombie. The Earth is a small stage in a vast cosmic arena. And you should never forget, the history is written by the winners. It's not an absolute truth, but we always must be curious and ask ourselves, how did it happen? Thanks for watching. Please don't forget to subscribe and share this video. This was Cómo Sucedió. Arrivederci.